We were in the condo for about 2 weeks when the weirdness started. I'd be working in our second floor bedroom, and I'd hear a door open downstairs, and I'd hear footsteps. Dave's office was just a few blocks away, so I just thought it was him. I figured he'd just stop by to pick something up. Sometimes I go downstairs to say hi and there'd be nobody there, but I just figured he left. I just thought he didn't want to interrupt me. I heard footsteps on the stairs, and a few times I even saw the doorknob turn, but I just figured I imagined it. One day, Kimmy, our youngest daughter, told her sister Elizabeth that she'd seen a ghost, and Liv described her. Until then, nobody had talked about any of this. They called the ghost Georgia. They guessed her to be about 17. She wore Victorian clothing. She had on a long dress with an empire waist and long blonde hair. Sometimes Kimmy would wake up at night and she'd see Georgia sitting on her bed. The kids saw her in the basement. Sometimes Kimmy would be in her bathroom and she'd see a shadowy figure in the mirror passing behind her. Just assumed Georgia was lonely, that she was desperate for the company of young people. When Georgia was in a room, you'd feel this palpable presence, like when somebody walks up behind you. I'd see her at night. It was a glow in the rim of our bathtub. Sometimes we'd be in the basement watching TV and she'd suddenly join us. We talked to this woman who studied ghosts. With no prompting at all, she described Georgia to a T. Georgia was stuck, she said. She advised us to talk to her, tell her she was scaring our kids and ask her to go away. That night, Dave walked from room to room as instructed, and he asked Georgia to please leave us alone. We also tried burning incense because that was supposed to help her to the next world. For a short time, nothing happened, and then she returned a few weeks later, and she was really brazen. One night, Kimmy was getting ready to go out, and the radio in her room started to blare. She screamed, terrified. Dave raced into the room. The knob on her stereo was turning by itself to the left and right. Music would be soft, and then it would just start blaring again. Again, Dave asked Georgia to leave, and she did, for a while. One day I decided to work in the basement. We were renovating and expecting workers later in the day, and I figured it would be quiet in the basement. It was chilly. I was thinking about running upstairs for a sweater, and I happened to glance at the TV. The TV was off, and the Comcast box below it was also turned off. On the LED display, the words "cold here" suddenly appeared, and they were moving to the right like a rotating ticker tape. And then it said, "Help me." I was like a road runner, tripping upstairs, moving faster than my legs could carry me. A few nights later, Kimmy woke up and Georgia was sitting on her bed, and she felt as though Georgia was suffocating her. Georgia had a pillow over her face. This time Dave just insisted she leave. And we felt bad, we felt guilty, because she was young, she was a teenager, and we just figured she was lonely, but she was scaring our family. For 2 more years, Georgia came and went. We felt her, we'd feel cold spots in the house, but she never showed herself physically again. Then Dave and I started traveling a lot, and the house was empty. She returned less frequently, and her stays would be shorter. Then one day she was just suddenly gone. The condo was part of a new development, and we thought maybe the excavation had disturbed her grave. There was also a seminary at the top of the hill above the development. We thought maybe she died there. Whatever happened, it had happened a long time before they started recording things on the internet. I had no luck at all finding information. I still think about her some days. I wonder where Georgia went next. I wonder if she ever found her way home.